All right, welcome to the last day of the 5-day pelvic floor bed exercise challenge. I'm so happy that you've made it this far, and I really hope that this has been helpful and that you've really been enjoying what you've learned. So before we get started, I just want to mention that if you feel like you need some help with assessing your pelvic floor at home and figuring out if you actually are doing the balloon breathing correctly or not, then please go ahead and check out my How to Kegel Correctly course, because it's going to break it down into all the steps of how you can assess your pelvic floor at home so that if you know if you're doing this correctly or not. Because like I've said before in these videos, it's not necessarily what you do, but it's how you do it that's really going to make the biggest difference. So really make sure that you're doing the balloon breathing correctly so that you are confident that these exercises are actually going to be helpful for you. So this last exercise that we're going to go through today is the bridge. We're going to do this because I think a lot of people come in and they say that they have seen that bridges are good for pelvic floor, but again, it's not what you do, but how you do it. So let's review how you should be doing your bridge so that you are optimizing your pelvic floor function. So again, we're just laying down in bed, and all you're going to focus on is pulling that rib cage down, just like what we've done in all the other videos, and making sure that the rib cage is nice and in line with your pubic bone. And then the other thing I want you to note that it's not this like pelvic tilt where you're like pulling backwards like this and then squeezing up. I find when people do the pelvic tilt, they end up just like squeezing, the back part of the pelvic floor, and that actually is not good for pelvic floor function. We want this area back here to be able to expand and contract, and it shouldn't just be like tightened up, which tends to happen if you end up like tilting the pelvis and pushing the low back down. It just, do it right now. It automatically just like squeezes that like part of your rectum, like part of your pelvic floor up. So we're going to keep that nice and relaxed. So instead, pull the rib cage down. And then the other piece is we want to get those hamstrings involved, which is like the back of the leg. So you're just going to get those heels down and push up that way. So now it should feel more like you are just really like extending through your hip as opposed to like squeezing and rotating back with your pelvis. It should be, okay, I'm stabilizing with my rib cage, I'm pushing up with my hamstrings, and I'm just extending my hips up and then back down. And so now that you have done that, we need to put the pelvic floor and the balloon breathing into place. So as you exert force, that's when you're going to exhale and contract. So that's going to be on the up is when you're going to exhale, contract that pelvic floor up. And then on the way down, that's when you're going to inhale and lengthen and do the lengthening part of the balloon breathing. So exhale and contracting that pelvic floor up. You should notice that that keeps the belly nice and flat, the hips, bones nice and stable, and then inhale and lengthen. So go ahead and try that out. I hope that these videos have been really helpful for you. I know that if you are consistent with them and that you just make a point to do them every day, you should definitely start feeling a difference in like your core strength and your pelvic floor function. And if you need any other help or assistance, like feel free to reach out. I love answering questions, and my goal is just to give you the best quality pelvic floor health information possible. Excuse me. And then the other thing, I just want to give you some little pro tips here on how you can implement these into your everyday life. Go ahead and write down every single exercise that we've done. You can go ahead and review these 5 videos and write them down on a piece of paper and put them right on your bedstand so that you know you have that checklist of what you're going to be doing every night, either before you go to bed or right when you wake up in the morning. And then that's how you're going to implement them into your everyday life. Because when you do that, that's when you're really going to start seeing those changes. And again, if you need any help and want to know that you are that you are doing the balloon breathing right, and you want to know how to assess your pelvic floor at home, check out my How to Kegel Correctly course, because it's going to bring you through all the steps that you need to do to be able to do that at home. All right, I hope this was helpful, and I will see you around. Take care.